On today's video, I do some pulling, I do some pushing, some measuring, and I do some fixing. I've got the $100 Richter Smashback home now, and at this point I'll remind you that not only am I going to test out this bike over a 1,000 mile tour, but I've also agreed to race to the narrowest point of Thailand on the first leg of the trip in a bike V car winner takes all extravaganza. I'm getting an 8-day start, admittedly, but quite frankly, I think I'm going to need every single second of it. So let's get busy, let's see how well we can get this cheap bike running, and let's take a closer look at exactly what I'm letting myself in for. Firstly, I want to give it a quick run through before I do one or two essential alterations just so it'll fit my size. Now, the first thing, spoke already that this is an aluminium frame, incredible for the price. It does make it lightweight, and actually the paint job on it looks superb. However, when you take a very close look, you can see here, and also at the back, there are a few scratches already. That's not a problem, but where the paint's been chipped away, you can see that it's a very, very thin paint job, not many layers there, and the paint's liable to come off quite quickly. Not a big issue. Even if the paint does come off, okay, it won't look so good, but it's aluminium, so it's not going to rust. Very, very impressed with the aluminium frame. Second thing I'm very surprised at is this has got internal cable routing. I didn't notice when I bought it, but the only other bike I've got that has this is the Honda SL6. So $100, very impressive, and it does look neat. I like the fact that these are full-sized wheels. It makes getting spares and changing things out so much easier. I like the gears as well. Now, they're not Shimano, they're Shimeng. I don't even know what that is. On the front, Seguan, and Brifters, Taichan. I don't know anything about these gears, but they're not pretending to be Shimano, and that's fine. I'm going to save an in-depth view for a little bit later, but there's a couple of things I immediately need to change out so this bike will actually fit me. The first thing I need to do is fix this seat stem. It's too low. I need a 32-inch reach from here to the top of the saddle. At the moment, this is about 26 inches. Let's extend the seat and see just how high we can get it. Oh, yeah, okay. It's not realistically going to get very much higher. You can see here the other seat stem, that's quite a lot bigger. I think that should actually be big enough for what I need. Okay, that's better. It's exactly 32 inches. Perfect. The problem now is that the handlebars are way too low. These need to come up probably by about 6 inches. So I do have a handlebar extender that will probably do the job. Let's put that on now. Okay, this is my extender for the handlebar stems. It should give me 4 inches, which might not be enough, but I can put on an angled stem onto it, which will give me another couple of inches. You can see that's better, that's raised the handlebars quite a way. As far as the distance between the saddle and the handlebars are concerned, it may be okay. I don't want to switch anything out unless I need to, even for my comfort, but if I have to, I've got an old spare stem here that will give me the perfect reach, but I'm going to try it first, see how it goes. It might be okay. Okay then, the final thing we need to check is the saddle. That's pretty narrow, 150 mils. That's narrower than my physique I have on my road bike. This bike's just not designed for tall people, as you can see by the alterations I made. The saddle may just be too narrow to be comfortable on anything other than riding around 5 or 10 kilometers. So there we are, I've made all the alterations. The bike looks a bit weird now. It is too small for me really. The frame should at least be 19 inches and probably 21 instead of 17, but I think I've done a reasonable job of adapting it. The seat stem, it's very high up, but it does go through the joint, and it's 2.5 inches past from where it connects to the frame, which is apparently safe. It should be fine. All that needs to be done now is I need to take off the rack from my Surly long haul trucker, and hopefully I can fit it on the back of here. Otherwise I can't carry panniers, and that's going to create all sorts of problems. Okay, that's the rack on. It's nicely centered and leveled. All the alterations are done for comfort and size. Only one thing left to do now. Take those horrible reflectors off. That's better. I'm going to weigh the bike to get some kind of perspective. My Surly long haul trucker, including the rack that I've now transferred over, weighs 17 kilos. I don't really know what this is going to be, but I think it's probably going to be about the same. The Surly has got a steel frame which is heavier, but it's got a lot of high grade components on it, so there's going to be some sort of offset here between the aluminium frame and the steel frame. But if it comes anywhere near 17 kilograms, I'll be very happy. Let's get on with it, let's weigh it. That's amazing. That's 17 kilograms spot on. So there's going to be no problem on weight with this one. That's brilliant. I'm almost ready to take the bike out for a ride, but before I do that, there's a quick buying tip I want to share with you. First of all though, I'm going to have to turn this upside down to show you properly. Before you part with your hard-earned cash, you really need to make sure that the wheels and the rotors on the discs, if they have disc brakes, are actually true. Now, when I bought the bike, the wheels weren't perfectly in true. I pointed that out, and the owner, he was happy to actually fix that. If they're not, then you should just walk away, because if you don't know how to true a wheel or fix a rotor, it could cost quite a substantial amount of money compared to the bike. Okay, so he fixed the wheels, they're fine, but what I didn't do, I forgot to check the rotors. I'm going to show you now. The rotors, they're slightly bent. Okay, focus your eye on here and the gap in between. I'll spin the wheel. You can see that rotor's slightly bent, and you can hear it. It's scraping on the pads. Now this is not a job I can fix, so I'm going to take it to the bike shop and get that sorted out. But let that be a lesson to you. Check those two things before you leave the shop. First impressions. Ooh, the bike feels a bit cramped. The gears are not changing very well at all. Okay, try the other one. Yeah, the gears need indexing. They're not shifting smoothly. I can hear the rotor rubbing on the front wheel. It doesn't feel great at the moment. I was hoping it'd be better than this. I just need to get those things fixed. Now hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Okay, I think it can be improved upon, but at the moment it's, oh dear, yeah, it feels really rough. It feels like $100 bike. I really don't like the idea of cycling 1,000 miles on this. I've done 4 kilometers on the bike now, and my impressions are not particularly favourable. There's definitely a noise coming from the bottom brackets, or maybe the pedals. I thought it was the rotors at first, but it isn't. That needs fixing. It sounds like metal on metal. I'm not going to get very far with that. The other problem is skipping gears and also engaging the first 2 chain rings at the front. That makes just one hell of a racket. That needs fixing as well. The brakes are terrible as well. The brakes really a bit of a surprise. I think it's because the pads are spaced too far apart because of the bent rotors, so that needs taking care of, and the discs need readjusting. To ride this bike any kind of distance in this kind of condition, frankly it'd be impossible. It just wouldn't get very far. It all needs fixing, it all needs sorting out. So I'm going to go to my favourite bike shop, Bike Fiction, and see if they can help me. I'm on my way back home now. I've just left Bike Fiction and they fixed all of those issues for me. So the 2 bent disc rotors, they're now nice and true. The brakes are actually much better now, and they even replaced the cables and housings as well. The gears are indexed nicely, or as nice as they're ever going to be. All that noise has gone from the bottom bracket, but I think that was probably the gears actually. And he's just done 1 or 2 other little things I didn't ask for as well. It's running pretty smoothly, but there are still issues that will never be resolved on this bike, and that's really that in the biggest chainring on the front, you can only engage 4 gears without it cross chaining. It's even worse in the middle chainring. Really only the 6th and 7th gear are any good. The small chainring, all 7 are sweet, so that leaves me with 13, maybe 14 useful gears out of 21. I don't think there's anything that can be done about that. It's just a poor design of the front derailleur, something I'll have to live with, but yeah, it's okay. I'm not too worried about that. But the bike's running smooth. I'm quite happy with it. Bike Fiction, as ever, done an absolutely brilliant job. All they charged me for 45 minutes of work was $6, 200 baht. It's just incredible. It really is. And that included the brake cables and housing. I mean, that's just so cheap. So yeah, I'm happy. I think this bike, rather than just being able to run around the block, now has a real chance of going on a long tour. Still have the issue, feeling very, very cramped on it. I think I'm really going to have to swap out that stem. The whole bike just feels too short. I'm sitting so upright, it's putting a lot of pressure on my backside, which is okay if you're just riding 10, 20, 30 kilometers, but anymore I'm going to get a lot of pain, I think. After a few alterations and a short ride, it's impossible to say if you can successfully tour $100 bike. I honestly don't know, but I can tell you I'm going to give it a very good try. So check out the next video in the series as I set off on a 1,000 mile tour just to see how good or bad a $100 bike really is.